Okay, guys, so Toys R Us. We all know it's gone into liquidation administration. We all know it's going down. A lot of stores in America are closing down. All the UK shops of Toys R Us are going. They are closing down. They have their closing down sales signs in their in their shops around the whole UK. Now, this is a big thing for me. I'm a 25-year-old man that still goes into Toys R Us just to look around. Sometimes on my own, just to see what's there and what I could want later on. Could have gone and get it with some extra cash on hand and purchased. That's not the case now. No, that's not the case. So I want to say this. Toys R Us was a big deal to me. So when I went in, one of the main things I always went for, each time I went to Toys R Us, were robots. Transforming robots. This is Twinferno. A Transformer I actually really enjoyed because I love the Beast mode. I can call it Beast mode. That is a twin-headed dragon. And I did like the whole idea of a twin-headed dragon. And he's an Autobot. Love it. Transformation on this guy, really enjoyable. The reason why I haven't reviewed this guy is because I don't review Transformers these days. I haven't got my collection with me. It's back at my parents' place, all boxed up in a shed. Probably majority of them are now damaged, or probably broken or rusty because of the pins. But I always went or asked to go to Toys R Us so I could see or look or see if my parents are willing to allow me to buy some Transformers. That was the main reason I went. Now, there was a story once, and I think this is where I got my original Red Dragon Thunderzord. I can't remember on hand, but I do think it is from here. I was young. We went to Poole. That's where the closest Toys R Us was for me, Poole, Dorset, and I went there, and my mum and my dad bought me the Red Dragon Thunderzord. This was during the time when the UK just got the Season 2 Zords, and I think America was just on Season 3. The UK was just on Season 2. And I started getting into Power Rangers during Season 2, what was around 95. I was really young, but I was getting around there. I wasn't 5, I was about 3. No, not even 3. Because I was born when Power Rangers started in America. So Season 1 didn't come to the UK until 94. 94, well, I would have been 1. Season 2, it was really late in the 90s. I know I was older. Season 2 was out and the Season 2 toys were still being sold in stores. We haven't got to the Ninja Zords. We didn't get to the movie stuff yet. And we went to Toys R Us. We just done a casual visit because I think my dad had a day off from work. My mum was off from work. They took me, my brother and my sister were both at school, so they thought they'd take me, I think, to Toys R Us. And I got the Thunderzords. I think it was Toys R Us or it could have been Toy Master. It was one of the two. Came home. A couple of days later, it was a Sunday. We had our Sunday dinner, and I played with it. Always had it with me because I loved that toy. Played with it. Accidentally dropped in some gravy, and it broke. Weird, huh? But growing up, I learned about the flaws of the toy. Growing up, and it might have just because of it being flawed, because one of the things broke off. So they took me again. I was really upset. They took me back. They bought me another one, and I loved it. And I still have that one, and that one is still intact to this day, on my shelf, back at my parents' place. But Toys R Us meant a lot to me because growing up, I lived in a little place called Portland, and the closest town was Weymouth, and the only toy store we had was a Toy Master under the name of Howley's. Now Howley's in Weymouth was the biggest toy shop I could get to. If they haven't had anything in, I had to go to either Woolworths or Argos and ask for their stock to see what they had. There's been occasions where there was another Toy Master back there called Razzmatazz that has opened back up again, and it was more of a collector's shop, but it did have toys for kids to sell because it was under the Toy Master banner back then. So if Howley's didn't have it, I would go to Razzmatazz to see if they've got it. And I used to go and get my Pokemon cards from Toy Master, my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, my Power Rangers. Actually, I remember going on a market one day, and there was an actual store that used to sell official toys, proper branded toys, licensed. They weren't knockoffs, they were proper toys. And I bought a load of my flipper heads off the market, and these were proper flipper heads from Bandai. They bought stock, they bought bulk, and their store was on a market stall, and they sold proper things. So the majority of my toys were from markets, car boot sales and everything, but Toys R Us always seemed to be the special shop that I always loved going to. Each time we done a trip to Poole, I always asked, can we go to Toys R Us? Every time I went, growing up, regardless the age I was, from me being a little kid to when I became 18 to when I was around 20, and we went to Poole, first thing I asked was, if we have the time, can we go to Toys R Us? Because it was there. It was in the area. I could have gone there and had just a look around, seeing what they had in stock. Just so maybe next time I go and visit and they still got it in stock, I could go and buy it. These are my childhood memories of growing up buying toys and going to Toys R Us. Because the UK had rival high street toy shops rivaling against Toys R Us. And for me, it was always been Toys R Us as a special place of, I'm going to the biggest toy shop that's near me, that's better than Toy Master, better than The Entertainer, better than Howley's, the same shop, better than any shop I could be near with. And it was always there. Always when I went to Poole, one of the things I wanted to do was go to Toys R Us. Because that always made my trip to Poole special. Because it was the closest Toys R Us I had, and it made it special to me. Even now, I married the love of my life, and when I used to come up and visit her, during the weekends, when I come for 5 days to see her, we always went to Wakefield on the bus from her parents, and I always asked if we could go to Toys R Us, because Wakefield had a Toys R Us, and most of my money went on food, went on us going to cinema, went on us like going out to eat lunch or dinner or whatever, and one of the things, most of my money went on buying toys to take home with me from Toys R Us. It was grand, it was special. The most special memory I have of Toys R Us is something that will always stay with me. Is I visited my grandparents in Doncaster. My nan and my grandfather, before my grandfather passed away. It was me and my dad, and I had a Game Boy Color, and this was during the period the Game Boy Color was still popular. And this is when they re-aired Thunderbirds, and third boom of Thunderbirds kicked in. Because Thunderbirds was a big thing throughout its creation. It re-aired constantly and drawn in new fans, mainly in the 90s as well. And we went to Toys R Us in Doncaster. I think it was my granddad that bought me this game, and it was a Thunderbirds Game Boy Color game that I still own. Haven't played, but I still own, and it's cherished to my heart. It was a Game Boy Color game of Thunderbirds, and I bought it at the Toys R Us in Doncaster. So know the fact that now the Wakefield Doncaster has a special connection to me with me and my wife. Why? Because every time it's raining, every time we were in the retail park area, and every time it's raining and we wanted to get out of the rain, and we were there, we go to Toys R Us. We look around, just mainly until hoping for the rain to die down, and then get the free city bus back into the town city, in the city centre. That's not going to happen anymore. Knowing that Toys R Us in Doncaster is not going to be there anymore, that was special to me. Toys R Us is a special place for me because every time I go to somewhere that has a Toys R Us, it makes me want to go there. The kid inside me wanted to go to a Toys R Us, knowing the layout's probably going to be the same, but knowing that it was going to be there for me to go in there to buy either a video game or a Transformer or a Power Ranger figure or Megazord or whatever. It was always there. Now, since it's going under, I understand why, and I agree with the reasons why it's going under because of the backstory of what happened behind the scenes of the store. But my happy memories of Toys R Us will always stay with me. And today, I bought 2 reusable bags with Toys R Us on them, just so we have reusable bags from going to be from a Cease in Creations store, so we got something to remember it by and we can use. But like I said, Toys R Us will always be in a lot of our hearts. I think a lot of people grew up with it. A lot of people in the Transformer fandom, I think, grew up with it. Being able to, I think majority of people went to Toys R Us to buy their Transformers when they were younger. The prices, Toys R Us was never bad in pricing, even back in the 90s. I think they were the best place to buy the toys at some point reasonable pricing. It was only when the inflation and the economy pricing had risen up, but they tried to end up just making everything expensive so they could. But like I said, Toys R Us has always been something special to me, something very special to me in the hearts of everything. That I'm gonna miss Toys R Us for all the things that everybody complained about it with not restocking stuff or the pricing was too high. Remember, we went to the shop as a kid, didn't care about pricing, just so we could go there to get a toy. We didn't care what toy. We didn't care. Maybe some of us did care what toy they've got. But some of us, like me, I was happy to go to Toys R Us, and as long as I just got a Transformer toy, or a Power Ranger toy from Toys R Us, and bring it home with me and to play with in the car home, I would have been happy. Because every time I bought a Transformer, I always opened it in the car to play with it. Because that's what toys are for. They're for play. For playing. That's why when it comes to Inferno here, he's on my desk. I have got a hot rod somewhere packed away in storage around here from Titan's Return line. But I play with this guy. I like to move the arms and play with the articulation and just go back to the younger days of my brings back childhood memories where I could just play with a Transformer toy. And this is the sad thing. This guy, this Twin Inferno, was the last Titan's Return figure in Wakefield Toys R Us. I found him just casually sitting by where the trading cards were, and I thought I wanted him. Didn't want to walk away from Toys R Us until I had this guy. I don't know. In all fairness, it never drew to me earlier. Whenever I saw him in as the Living or in Sainsbury's or in the Entertainer, he never drew to me. But for some reason, this particular Twin Inferno drew to me when I got to Toys R Us in its closing down phase, and it just brought back so many memories of my childhood, going into a Toys R Us to just buy a Transformer. I thought, I want to get a Transformer while I still can, and from a Toys R Us. So am I being sentimental to a toy shop? Yeah. I think everybody's sentimental to Toys R Us. I am. I don't think when growing up we never had the jingle of "I don't want to grow up." I'm a Toys R Us kid. I don't think the UK never got that. It's only recently that I heard the jingle. But it's true. I have never grown up. Yeah, I'm an adult. I'm dealing with adult responsibilities. Paying rent for this house that I live in. Buying food to survive. Paying some bills, a phone bill and everything like that. They're my adult responsibilities. Going to Toys R Us brings me back to my childhood days. Mainly my childhood days of just going in the car, travelling to Poole and hoping on that day I could visit Toys R Us. It's a shop that has so many memories in my heart. Definitely memories with my late nan from my mum's side. Was always there with us when we went. Those memories won't die, and like this jingle had, and like I said, this jingle never, I don't think ever appeared in the UK, not in my knowledge. All I remember was Toys R Us, Toys R Us, Toys R Us. At Toys R Us. So they advertise all the toys and everything and advertise them with their own narratives. And probably have kids in the UK adverts playing with it, and just had the Toys R Us jingle. This shop at Toys R Us or Toys R Us, and then it just ends with Toys R Us, Toys R Us, Toys R Us, at Toys R Us. I think that was the jingle for the UK one, but after hearing the American advert of "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid," going to Toys R Us always brought me back to being my Toys R Us kid self. But my memories of Toys R Us will never die. My memories for this shop will never die. It will always be in my memories. That's what they are, memories, childhood memories. But everybody has childhood memories going to their first toy shop or going to their first Toys R Us when they were able to. Sometimes I know people that just grew up in a town and that always had a Toys R Us. So their childhoods must have been 10 times better. Better because they had a Toys R Us near them. For me, the special trips to pool to go into that Toys R Us was something of a nostalgia boom. Not just a nostalgia boom, something I always cherish. It became a ritual for me to just go to Toys R Us and pool when I can. Every time my mum took me, my brothers, my niece and nephew, and my dad was along with the ride as well, or if my dad was working, it was my nan, my great aunt, and my brother sometimes stays at home, and my dad looked after him. It made the trip more special, hoping that I get to go to Toys R Us. So I could just go to Toys R Us, just look at the toys, pick something up, and put it in the trolley, and buy it, and then open it up and play with it later. That's not gonna happen now. Heck, if I had kids of my own, I was hoping for them to continue to cherish the same things that I would. I would have taken them to Toys R Us. Every time we went into Wakefield, I would have taken them to Toys R Us. So they could look around at all the magnificent toys. And I would just allow them to pick one toy. So they could take it home with them and open it on the bus or in the car and just play with it like I used to. But that's not going to be the case now. What were your fondest memories of Toys R Us? I would love to hear your Toys R Us trip stories. This was more of a childhood memory talk about my trip to Toys R Us, and more how I grew up of going to the closest toy shops that I had in my area while growing up. But Toys R Us will always be in my heart, in my memories, going to pool on those little car journeys, just to go shopping there, and just hoping that during those journeys, those trips, I could go to Toys R Us. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. But I've grown up. And one of my favourite toy shops is not going to be here any longer. What's your favourite memory? This can be a video response, a comment post, or even a Facebook comment post or Facebook video response. But what are your fondest memories going to Toys R Us? Or what was your Toys R Us journey or your Toys R Us memories like? I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. But I have. So yeah, I would like to hear your stories, posts, comment down below. So this was something different for my channel, but hopefully a lot of people respond and discuss about it as much as I have. It's probably going to be the longest video I have on this channel after editing. But comment down below, share thoughts, respond via video. What was your fondest memory of going to Toys R Us every time while growing up? I've been your host, Kai, from Kai's Take Corner. You'll be sadly missed, Toys R Us.
There's a magical